Let's get right into it. Number 10. The floor is lava. Remember when the floor was literally lava? Not the boring hardwood or carpet you're probably looking at right now. Pure, deadly, molten rock. And your couch wasn't just a couch. It was your only chance at survival. Back then, every living room was a death-defying obstacle course. That coffee table was a precarious island in a sea of bubbling doom. Those throw pillows were emergency flotation devices that could save your life. Now you're probably sitting there, feet firmly planted on the definitely not lava floor, wondering when exactly you stopped playing this game. You didn't get a memo saying, "Hey, the floor isn't lava anymore. It's just covered in crumbs and existential dread." It just happened. Scientists actually studied this game. They found it helps kids develop cognitive flexibility. Basically, the ability to think on your feet while they're not touching the ground. It also builds creativity, spatial awareness, and problem-solving skills. But somewhere between I must leap from this ottoman to that armchair or face certain doom, and I should probably vacuum under the couch, we lost something. Maybe it's because we started caring more about the furniture than the adventure. Kids today still play this game. The rules haven't changed. Touch the floor, you're dead. But now we're the ones saying, don't jump on the furniture, instead of being the ones doing the jumping. The floor is still technically just as much lava as it was when we were kids. We just stopped believing in it. Number 9. Running everywhere. Remember when you used to run everywhere as a kid? Getting the mail. Sprint like you're in the Olympics. Going to the bathroom. Better hurry. There might be a monster behind you. Heading to the kitchen. Race your sister there because the first one gets the better cookie. Then for some reason the fun just ended. No one told us to stop running everywhere. There wasn't some official ceremony where they hand you your walking certificate. Turns out kids run everywhere because their bodies are literally designed for it. Their lighter frames and higher energy metabolism mean they can sprint around all day without getting tired. Meanwhile, adult bodies need to save energy, but we start walking everywhere, way before our bodies actually need to. It's like we're practicing being tired adults. You'll see a teenager walking to get ice cream, the same kid who used to sprint to the bathroom because they thought the toilet monster would get them. Now they're casually strolling to get the one food that's literally designed to make you happy. As a kid, you'd run for anything. Now, as an adult, you do this weird speed walk thing where you're clearly in a hurry, but don't want anyone to know you're trying. We've all seen that person who just missed their bus and is now pretending they weren't running for it at all, just casually checking their phone like they didn't even notice. Number 8. Making sound effects. Walking downstairs wasn't just walking. It was boom, boom, boom with every step. Opening doors wasn't complete without your own creak sound effect. Lightsaber battles with wrapping paper tubes needed that perfect vroom vroom sound. But somewhere along the way, we stopped. One day you're making explosion sounds while throwing trash in the bin, and the next you're just silently dropping it in like some boring adult. Making sound effects isn't just fun. It actually helps your brain process actions better. When you're a kid, adding sounds to your movements helps develop your spatial awareness. Toddlers make vroom vroom sounds when pushing toy cars because they're literally helping their brains understand motion. Studies show that people who make sound effects while doing tasks actually perform them better. Tennis players who grunt during serves hit the ball harder. Martial artists who make those hi-ya sounds actually punch stronger. Usually we stop because someone gave us that look. That, "Are you 5 years old?" look. Suddenly we became very aware that making pew-pew sounds while using the copy machine might not be professional, but some people never stopped. Watch any group of guys playing basketball. At least one of them is making swoosh sounds. We all still do it when we think no one's watching. You've made explosion sounds while throwing something in the trash when alone. We didn't stop because we grew up. We just got better at hiding it. Number 7. Knowing every dinosaur. Remember when you were like 5 and could name every single dinosaur that ever existed? You weren't just saying T-Rex like some casual. You were dropping names like Pachycephalosaurus and Parasaurolophus like you were their personal PR agent. You were even correcting adults. Some poor uncle would say, "Look, it's a Brontosaurus." And you'd roll your eyes. Actually, that's an Apatosaurus. The Brontosaurus was a mistake. You were basically a tiny paleontologist with light-up sneakers. Then one day, you just stopped. Your brain went, "Well, that's enough dinosaur facts for one lifetime," and just dumped all that information. Now you can barely remember the difference between a Stegosaurus and a Triceratops. You went from being able to pronounce Micropachycephalosaurus to struggling with anonymous in meetings. Nobody sat you down and said, "Okay, time to forget all your dinosaur knowledge." Your brain just decided, "Nah, we need this space for remembering TikTok dances and coffee orders." And now when kids ask you about dinosaurs, you're just standing there like, this one's got spikes, so that's cool." Number 6. The crunchy leaf hunt. You used to actively search for the perfect crunchy leaf. You'd scan the sidewalk like some kind of leaf detective, looking for that one special candidate. Not those wimpy, still moist leaves that just bend under your foot like wet paper. No, you were after the premium stuff. That perfectly dried, slightly curled leaf that promised a satisfying crunch. And when you found one, the anticipation was real. You'd position your foot just right, maybe even look around to make sure no one was watching, then crunch. Pure dopamine hit right there. Scientists studied this behavior and found that seeking out these small sensory pleasures is like a mini meditation session for your brain. It forces you to be present in the moment. People who regularly engage in these tiny joy rituals show better stress resilience. Then one day, without any real decision, we stopped. We started walking past perfectly good crunchy leaves like they weren't even there. Now we're speed walking through life, missing out on free serotonin just lying there on the sidewalk. Because it's literally impossible to hate that sound. It's like nature's bubble wrap. Number 5. Holding breath in tunnels. Remember when you'd hold your breath every time your parents drove through a tunnel? Maybe you still do it sometimes, even though you're a grown adult who knows better. This weird habit is surprisingly common. Nobody really knows where this tradition started. Some people say it began as a way to protect yourself from evil spirits that lived in tunnels. Others think it was just a game parents made up to keep their kids quiet during long drives. In some parts of Europe, people believed that making a wish while holding your breath in a tunnel would make it come true. The catch is, you had to hold your breath for the entire length of the tunnel, which could lead to some pretty dangerous situations. Imagine trying to hold your breath through the Mont Blanc tunnel. That's an 11.6-kilometer tunnel. Unless you're a pearl diver or a submarine, you're not making it through that one. Most of us can't even remember who taught us this. It's like this weird knowledge that just appears in our brains one day. Even though we know it's completely pointless, many of us still feel this weird urge to do it. When you're approaching a tunnel, there's this tiny voice in your head going, hold your breath, hold your breath. Number 4. Sitting crisscross. Remember sitting crisscross applesauce in elementary school? You'd plop down on the carpet for story time, fold your legs like a human pretzel, and sit there for what felt like hours. No problem at all. Fast forward to today, try sitting like that now, and your hips start screaming like they're being tortured. After about 2 minutes, your legs feel like they're being slowly pulled off by invisible horses, and getting up is a whole comedy show. You look like a baby giraffe trying to stand for the first time. But here's the thing. You didn't lose this ability because you got old. You lost it because you stopped doing it. When we were kids, we'd sit in all sorts of weird positions. We were basically tiny contortionists with no sense of dignity. But then we grew up and started sitting in chairs like proper adults. 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, just sitting there like a potato with good posture. Our hips basically forgot how to do anything else. The weird part is, in many parts of the world, adults still sit on the floor all the time. They squat, they cross their legs, they sit in positions that would send most of us running to a chiropractor, and their hips work just fine, because they never stopped using that range of motion. Number 3. Balancing light switches. You'd stand there as a kid, tongue sticking out in concentration, trying to find that perfect sweet spot on the light switch, not on, not off, but somewhere in that mysterious middle ground where the light would flicker like a dying star. It was like trying to balance a coin on its edge, but with electricity. You'd spend way too much time adjusting it by tiny fractions of an inch. Your parents would walk by and give you that "what is wrong with my child" look. Sometimes you'd actually get it, that magical moment where the light would pulse and flicker like a disco in slow motion. You felt like you discovered some secret quantum state of electricity. When you balanced the switch just right, you were creating something called arcing. That's when electricity jumps across a tiny gap, like a microscopic lightning bolt. It was also slowly destroying the switch. Those tiny lightning bolts were burning away the metal contacts bit by bit, which is probably why your parents weren't too thrilled about your experiments. But then one day you just stopped. Now when you flip a switch, you do it like a normal person. Number 2. Reading under blankets. Remember when reading was actually dangerous? Not because of controversial content, but because you might get caught by your parents. There you are, way past bedtime, huddled under your blanket fortress with a flashlight. The batteries are dying, but you just have to know if Harry defeats Voldemort. Every footstep in the hallway is like a horror movie soundtrack. You're basically a secret agent, trained in the art of fake sleeping. You've mastered the quickly hide everything and pretend to be asleep, move faster than any Olympic sport. The flashlight's getting hot, your arms cramping, and you're sweating like you're in a sauna. But you don't care, because you're in your own private world. Now we just scroll through TikTok in bed with our phones on full brightness. Sure, it's more convenient, but the adventure is gone. No more strategic flashlight positioning to get the perfect reading angle. No more panic diving under the covers when you hear footsteps. These days, kids will never know the thrill of being a literary ninja. They'll never experience the pure adrenaline rush of almost getting caught at Chapter 9. We traded all that excitement for the convenience of backlit screens. Number 1. Building blanket forts. Remember when you'd spend hours turning your living room into an impenetrable fortress? You'd raid the linen closet like it was a military supply depot. Every chair became a load-bearing wall. Every blanket a mighty rampart. The dining room chairs were perfect for the main structure because they had those gaps in the back for threading blankets through. The couch cushions were your foundation walls. And that one heavy blanket your mom said was too nice to use was the perfect roof because it didn't sag in the middle. You'd use books to weigh down the corners, or clothespins stolen from the laundry room for those tricky connections. You became a master of structural integrity without even knowing what those words meant. But we all just stopped. Not because fort building suddenly became less awesome. Not because we lost the materials. Now we're adults who pay thousands of dollars to live in boxes made of drywall and wood. We used to be perfectly happy in our blanket castles that cost nothing. Some of us even became architects or engineers designing actual buildings. None of those buildings are as cool as that epic fort you made when you figured out how to incorporate the ceiling fan. Tonight, instead of binge-watching another series, grab some blankets, raid your linen closet like it's 2003, build yourself a fort. Your adult self might be surprised at how much fun your kid self had figured out. Just don't forget the secret password. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.